Hello everyone. Okay. Sorry for the delays. Today I'm going to be watching Songs of Sphinx review by Deranged edition trademarked by SsethTzeentach. I've been just like farming and polling basically on HSR and Gen. It's just absurd. Our Latino Nave came and she's crazy. She's awesome. She's really good. It has a good, really awesome gameplay too. Oh my fucking god! I haven't got her yet, but I have a guarantee. And again, I got Bailude and Aventurin. But again, Sons of Sphinx. Man, my mind should become out of gotcha again. Let's see what this actually is. 3, 2, 1, go.
What is the worth of a human life? I can't give you that answer, but I can tell you the worth of an elvish life. 62 meat and 17 leather once you really peel them down. Hey people, Seth here. Despite doing this for several years, I have never figured out how to use a microphone, and for this, I sincerely apologize. Songs of Six is an ambitiously made, self-styled city-state simulator, developed for the better part of 7 years. Now, imagine you start playing the game, and naturally, you play the tutorial. I imagine most people do. The difference, however, is that over 100 hours later, I am still on the tutorial.
Are you What? First of all, what the fuck are these games? What the fuck is Tamed Warrior? Tamed Warrior? I don't know what the fuck is going on even. Holy shit. That image is all I need. What is this?
Developed for the better part of 7 years. Now, imagine you start playing the game, and naturally, you play the tutorial. I imagine most people do. The difference, however, is that over 100 hours later, I am still on the tutorial. This is the story of Jackaton, the default starting location for the tutorial, which is named after the developer. We have no mountains, no natural resources, a sprinkle of trees, a small lake, and generally, nothing. We're sandwiched between 4 neighbors, the city-states of Tegenval and Sluva, and the empires of Starless and Ulisu. In a word, it's not looking very good for us. In the beginning, you start with a couple dozen citizens and a dream of something greater. Unfortunately, we are Crotonians. These are peaceful, vegetarian pigmen with no aspirations beyond slumming in the dirt and farming.
So wait a second. You have to play a stronghold crusader. You like farm, get iron, get like oil and shit. At the same time, you have to play geopolitics EU4 with the empire coming. It's like not even EU4 default. It's like EU4 like a star mods or something. This is insane.
Crops, but for our purposes, they're
this.
Perfect. And I quickly started an agricultural operation. It's not much, but at least we're not starving. Grain has to be processed by a bakery, while fruit and vegetables can be eaten directly. Regrettably, instead of a fruit farm, I started an orchard. I did this on the promise that it's a slow operation with twice the potential yield. To this day, it has produced no fruit, because by the time the fruit trees mature, I get a worm infestation and have to chop them all down. Citizens typically prefer locals over immigrants, and the only way to increase the local population is by having children at the local nursery. In this game, a year is 16 days, and each 4 days is a season. A baby becomes a child, and a child becomes eligible for labor at 4 years of age. Songs of Six encourages the miracle of childbirth with the economic miracle of child labor. Also, after my pigmen accidentally snacked on all the vegetables in the nursery crib, I can confidently tell you,
in every family, kids used to work at a young age, like flipping cows at like 4, 5.
Infant mortality has no effect on the happiness of your population. But you know what has an effect on my happiness? Getting paid to plaster my walls with illustrations of naked women. Hang on, guys. This wall, it's so barren, so dull, so lifeless. Luckily, today's sponsor is Displate. Displate is a unique metal poster designed to capture all your passions, whether they be Elden Ring, Star Wars, Warhammer, or Call of Duty. Displate has over 2 million artworks across hundreds of brands. If you know me, you'll know I love my Displates more than any laid paper poster. But what if they could be even better?
The art, yes, that art. Yeah, give me that shit. Oh my god.
And the solution is Textra, Display's brand new tactile poster collection.
What?
Now I can run my fingers along my precious displays and really feel those tactile textures, 3D
What would
contours,
happen?
and selective matte and gloss effects. And of
That
course, it
okay.
makes
That area, this area here, for example, this would rend your fucking face if you contact with it. If it's like bumpy and stuff too. So
them look even cooler. The new Textra
Hopefully
finish
it's
will be
not.
available on hundreds of the best-selling displays, and Display looks forward to expanding the library of display
looks
textures
amazing,
in the
to be
following
honest.
months. So, what are you waiting for?
I
Go
love
to
it that they have a review of the
display.com/Seth
light
and check out
reflection
the
in their
selected
website.
designs that
That's
you can now
brilliant.
get with a new
Display.
Textra finish. Transform your walls today with Textra. And thank you to Display for sponsoring this video. Your city lives and dies on happiness. If you fail to keep your citizens happy, you'll
Yep.
start a failure
Oh my
cascade that
God.
ends in
Yes,
ruin. The
that-
simulation goes down to each
that's
individual.
oh my god, that reminds me of the other game when you fall with rockets on a fucking piece of shit land and you have to survive. Oh my god. That game is
and
fun.
measures the average fulfillment of their needs and desires for that particular race. Race is an
Got
interesting topic. Some races don't get along. Some races are predisposed to crime.
All
Some
right,
races
that's
control
good.
our educational sector, our labs, and our academia. But what else am I supposed to do when everyone else hates education? I'm talking, of course, about
That is a
none other
lizard.
than humans. Humans are troublesome, criminal, and have the lowest sanity score of any race, which means an
Give me a second. My eye is dying. Alright, sorry, my eyes are pretty weak. Let's go.
essential component of any healthy human population is an asylum. But they heckin' love science, which is important because this game handles research in a unique fashion. You don't just learn something. You
Okay,
have
so
science.
so I think you just create an area, like make the ground to asylum, and then people go there for like mental treatment.
Component of any healthy human population
okay,
is an
human
asylum.
race.
But they heckin'
That's
love
insane.
science, which is important because this game handles research in a unique fashion. You don't just learn something. No, you research it, and then you have to pass on that generational knowledge across time. Remember, we don't start with paper. We get to that
shit.
point after multiple generations
That's
of
actually
oral
interesting.
tradition. And even then, we have to maintain and preserve our existing knowledge against entropy. Almost every other race dislikes intellectualism and prefers to be indoctrinated. This is advantage entropy.
But that game
Almost
in
every other
ISIS
race dislikes
gear.
intellectualism and prefers to be
What the fuck? Azat migam, what the fuck? Or art mige man gay? What the fuck what is he trying to write? Why is Arabic or like Persian units or letters like written like that? It's not written like that. It's like completely wrong.
indoctrinated. This is advantageous as it fosters loyalty
Again.
in the absence of happiness.
What the
This
fuck was that? I have to. Oh, Turkey! Oh my god! Yeah, Turkey is decent.
Advantageous as it
Maybe.
fosters loyalty
Hopefully.
in the absence of happiness. An open mind is an open bussy. Its gates
Jesus
unbarred
Christ,
and
not
unguarded.
Ben
Some
Shapiro.
might argue that great
Okay, all right. I might care.
is an open bussy, its gates unbarred and unguarded. Some might argue that great men are made, not
Great.
born. In the case of Dondorians, that is
What the fuck is it, bro? Why are my eyebrows crying? Give me a second. This is what happens after a week of no videos.
literally true, because they appear as fully formed adults at the base of a mountain. For this reason,
What the
the fully
Buddha?
formed adults at the
Oh my god. This is like has anyone ever seen his real face? Because this is so, it's not fake, but it's too filtery.
base of a mountain. For this reason, the only way to get Dondorians is by immigration. They're good at mining, they're good at Minecraft, they're basically dwarves.
Alright.
The Talapi are forest-dwelling
God damn it.
elves. They're good with trees and they're good with nature. What else? They're also known for
Can they
violating human
use
men for
decent
several
bow?
days before they cannibalize them. Bizarrely, this makes them compatible
Holy
with the cave-dwelling Garfimi, who are effectively bug men. What they
that's
lack
fucked
in
up.
skill, they make up for with raw numbers. And there's nothing bugs enjoy more than plucking limbs from the other races. And while most cities will have a mixed population, some races don't get along with anyone. Viamevia are coastal-dwelling lizard men. They're uniquely xenophobic and incompatible with other races, which is offset
Makes
by their
sense.
impressive physique and high lifespan. If you want a true monocultural isolationist experience, try the lizards. Finally,
This is fucking interesting. This is something I want to play because the UI reminds me of that game. Fuck, I forgot the name. God. Please, someone reminds me. It's oh my god.
there are two giant races you can't normally get. The in-lore explanation is that their populations have been decimated over the course of several great wars. If you control a region containing a haven and
throwing people
satisfy their
away.
high demands, they can be convinced to join your cause. While they have many differences, they do share a common trait. They're fucking gigantic and make for the best shock troops in the entire game. There's a bit of an irony in a sense that they're incredibly rare and almost extinct, and the best thing they're good at is getting even more extinct. The Argonash are spider leviathans with a voracious appetite.
You can play as them or
They don't care for
What
anything
the
except food,
fuck?
which may sound simple until you realize the logistical nightmare of providing 4 meals a day to every person on the map. The Cantors may ask for more up front,
Oh, yeah,
but
that
they're
would be
easier
crazy.
to satisfy.
But you can farm, right? You can farm and like a stockpile, can't you?
To every person on the map. The Cantors may ask for more up front, but they're easier to satisfy. Generally. Once I arrested 2 people
Poor
at the same
Cantors.
time, but only had 1 courtroom. One of the 2 arrested thieves had no
Wait, are
legal
Cantors
representation.
like cannibals or like
They
corpses
considered
or
this
something?
a complete
Why is it too
breakdown
easy?
of my legal system and left in disgust. But at the time, I knew none of this. I was a young blood, desperate to turn a profit and expand my settlement. YouTubers are a prime example of making
One police
the
was
most
just
amount of money
fucking-
with the
one-
least amount
one
of
police
skill
was
and
just fucking
intellect. In a
pigs,
fair
man.
society, these are the people who should be toiling in the coal mines and dying of black lung.
That is true.
Appropriately, I simulated this by importing
Not me,
Garfield
though. I'm not a
slaves
YouTuber.
and renaming them to my favorite content
barely
creators.
air.
I invested so much into this coal mining operation only to find out I've spent several in-game years for a tar pit with 30% efficiency. It wasn't just unprofitable, but because of the size and scale, the cost of maintenance alone sent me into the red. On the other hand, I found out slavery is actually quite well received, as my citizens enjoy a slave population so long as it's
What
not their own.
the
My settlement grew,
fuck?
and unfortunately, crime
To be
had
fair,
become
it
an
makes
issue.
sense.
Another day,
Civil war
another
happens because
flashing.
some people
The people
like
lived
it.
in fear. Arrests had to be made, but because I spread myself so thin, I didn't have the
Morally
resources or
stupid.
manpower to enforce it. And so, the public indecency continued until I increased my coverage. And after the prison started filling up, I am forced to make a difficult statement. Dundorians are sex pests. Of the 5 indecent exposers, all 5 have been dwarves. I have no further comment. At this
What
point,
the?
I was earning
Bro, that
capital
dude
by
was just a
exporting
cube
furniture.
with
This-
eyes.
At this point,
What
I
the
was
hell is that? Looks like a okay. That's good.
decent
That's good.
exposers.
That's a
All
dwarf
5
who's been in the. That's a fucking toast, man.
have been dwarves.
That's a toast. Prisoner for life and being in prison. What the
I have no
fuck?
further comment. At this point, I was earning capital by exporting furniture. This game doesn't have a fixed economy. Trade prices fluctuate and work on the rules of supply and demand. Basically, if you can make your own, that's strongly encouraged. If you have excess to sell off, that's good
Independence,
too.
alright.
But overtrading a commodity can apply disproportionate pressure on the value, which is minimized by the number of trade partners. So, if you want money, you better diversify. But if you don't, poverty also has its advantages. If our treasury is empty and we're dead broke, guess what? Our diplomatic gifts mean a whole lot more, which is important because if our reputation drops to 0
Oh
with
my-
any of the 4 factions bordering us, we're getting
Jesus
invaded. And with
Christ,
a
bro.
current standing army of
Holy
0 man,
shit, that dude's boobs.
I don't fancy my chances. So I would intentionally dip my savings into the red, plead, cry, and defecate in front of my neighbors, and a pathetic display made me an unattractive target for assault. I would reputation farm into the multiple thousands so I could reliably forget about it for the next dozen years, while enjoying the benefits of almost 0 taxation on all trade. This gave me a lot of time to experiment and figure out what I'm doing. Firstly, I tried mining gemstone. Subsequently, I failed at mining gemstone. Instead,
Why?
I used the natural fertility of Jacketon
But how can What can go wrong? No, there is no enemies. There's actually wood. You can probably make like resources over there. Maybe make infrastructure for carrying the gemstones.
I failed at mining gemstones.
What happened?
Instead, I used the natural fertility of Jackaton and turned it into an opium plantation. I still had a
That's
lot of
genius.
Garfimi slaves left over and put them
Farming.
to work in fields of poppies and cotton. However, I got overly ambitious and my bugs got a little rowdy. There is no other situation where the following words can be said. The cotton pickers are having another uprising. Subsequently, we abolished the practice. Not on moral grounds, but because they robbed my throne and took just about everything. Happiness was at an all-time low among my Dundorians.
Yeah, that's why
I
you
tried
don't
producing
fucking
alcohol
stay,
and
motherfucker.
opened a tavern. Demand outstripped supply. Access was terrible and supplies were so low that it just made them angrier. So I tried satisfying food preference instead. Mushrooms, fish, complex proteins. Then I restricted everyone to just eating bread and they were happier. Additionally, I tried introducing fine dining in the form of restaurants.
What? In Crusader, you have to diversify. Just you can erase taxes.
And almost lost the game to a public riot. Not only did I fail to meet supply, but each time I did so, a citizen would starve, spiraling into a vicious loop. Their desire for the McMenu was so strong that it overrode their survival instinct to eat street food, preferring instead the embrace of death.
What
This
the
was
fuck
not
is
a
the
plague of
gross
famine,
shit now?
but it was a plague of choice. After the many lessons learned, alcohol is haram, cooking is forbidden,
true.
and our entire food pyramid is bread. Finally, I did make a breakthrough in
be
citizen
fair,
satisfaction. It
that's-
turns out
that's
that when I
Arab
select
life.
and look at
That's
a random
the
peasant,
poor
they
Persian
are not
life.
meant to be
Literally,
caked in
it's just
shit.
impossible.
And only after building bathhouses
fucking
40
economy
hours into the
to buy
game
anything
did I
else.
make
Jesus Christ! Why is my eye dying every time? Like I can't
peasant,
do that.
They are not meant to be caked in shit. And only after building bathhouses 40 hours into the game did I make that connection. Around this time, I also realized, after reading the tooltip, the reason for my insane cost of maintenance. You see, buildings have walls. Walls increase isolation. I did not build any walls. Do I have to rebuild my entire city? Yes, I did. I rebuilt the whole thing. And I learned to love city planning. Building design
that makes
is
sense.
incredibly fun.
So you
and there's
literally
no greater
just-
satisfaction.
Then how the fuck did the game? So you have to create an area, then you have to build the area as well. So there is just city planning and then actual building. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
having an elegantly
Majority
designed
of the games have
lavatory
that.
for optimal shitting, pissing, and sharding. In the end, you take so much pride in what you've built. Am I coping? Yes, absolutely. But after numerous trials and tribulations, I had a stable, diversified economy and a series of
Nice.
shacks resembling civilization. Also, I promoted a 4-year-old to become nobility. Because it's funny, nobles provide a variety of beneficial effects, and
What do they do?
currently they're a work in progress. Or, as the developer translated to me, they cannot betray you yet. Everything was calm and peaceful until we found a
Nice.
Kryptonian with his eyes scooped out. On the body was a note
Why?
signed Jake the Invincible, claiming that he's saving lives by returning them to his forgotten god. Our city had a serial killer.
Who the
Another
fuck?
day,
Oh,
another
Jesus
victim
Christ.
found
We need a
dead.
fucking
Eye
detective now.
sockets empty. Every victim was a
Come on.
Kryptonian, and this was clearly a racially targeted crime. Terror
Obviously.
ruled the streets, and we had no leads. It wasn't until a passerby claimed to see a Kryptonian woman fleeing the scene. This information didn't add up, but we tortured a
get that
confession
bitch.
out of him, and they pleaded guilty to all crimes. The serial killings promptly stopped.
Yeah.
Jake the Invincible was identified to be a middle-aged Kryptonian woman predating on her own people. We sent the killer into the arena
Why?
to be chopped into pieces for the spectacle of the crowd. We gave their body as much
Holy shit! To be fair, deserved.
respect as it deserved. We pissed
Ay,
on it and
Farah.
dumped it into a mass grave.
Alfira,
Serial
oh my
killings are
God.
rare, and they're not
She
often
dies
so
at every
straightforward.
universe.
You might get the wrong guy and torture out a false confession, or the trail simply goes cold from lack of evidence. Eventually, beyond
That's
exports and
ridiculous.
fields of opium, I found the most lucrative source of cash. I would intentionally reduce my army down to 0 to try and entice rebels to attack my city. The moment this happens, I hire mercenaries, crush the invaders, and sell off their loot for fat stacks. This
Yo.
sent me from borderline broke to $500,000 in the bag. Now, hiring mercenaries is incredibly expensive. Paying them is even more expensive, but they handle their own supplies and they're instantaneous. I use them to conquer a
That's
neutral
nice.
region, and as I
That
did,
is what Mongols did, didn't they? No. Genghis just used his own people. Who did this? Someone did this. Just bought an army. I remember in recent history, two countries
My brain
did this.
expanded, and my
Just buy an
neurons
army.
started firing. Because
I'm
suddenly,
pretty sure Saudi
I can
Arabia
hire
did.
more. For each region under my control, I get access to 5 extra mercenary companies. So I hatched a plan. Take all my money, raise an army of mercenaries, and conquer Winsta, the weakest nation I could find
Let's
nearby.
go.
With each city taken, my numbers increased, eventually laying siege to their capital. I sold everything to keep those mercenaries paid. I almost ran out of money. If that siege lasted a day longer than it did, I would have lost. But in the end, it was worth it, because I reached the max limit of mercenary companies, and I
Holy
could now
shit.
recruit enough men to overpower anyone. Problem is, they're asking for 750k up front, with a daily fee of 100k. Soldiers of
You have
fortune
15
have a
million.
steep asking price.
Let's
But
go.
what if the Golden Horde could pay for itself? I've been on the back foot of negotiations, pleading and groveling to my neighbors for mercy, until now. Selling my spoils, I muster a short-lived but massive army, declare war, intercept their army, and immediately sue for peace, to which they have no option but to accept my favorable terms. The best part about shotgun diplomacy
Oh, give me
is
money.
you already know the answer.
This is ridiculous. You basically go attack them, sue for peace, get money for the peace that you inflicted by the war that you inflicted, to pay the mercenaries that you got to issue the war. So basically, it's a fucking stupid brain product.
Each time.
I love
Because
this.
once they surrender, we do it again until we
It's a
empty
loop.
their entire treasury. Unknowingly, they just paid for their own demise. The century of humiliation was over as Jackaton turned on their allies. No longer will I be extorted each time it's their nephew's birthday.
Nice.
Tegenval and
54K.
Sluva were too small to resist. The elvish empire of Starless to the north was a different story, but led to the development
happened?
of strategies I'd replicate going forward. Economic hyperwar is the act of manipulating the enemy to take decisions that are numerically beneficial while destroying them internally. We invade cities, sell them back to the enemy,
Front
only
of
to
his
invade them
plan.
again. Then we use them as bartering chips for other cities, take control of those cities, demolish the walls, and advance our front line. We remove the need for extended siege and reduce the enemy to a single fight. There was
Holy
only
shit.
one except
Okay,
the enemy.
bro, that looks so cool. To be fucking honest, if you can see all the plans like that, and then you can use, you probably can zoom in, right? To see the fights.
To a single fight. There was only one exception to this. As luck would have it, the human empire of Ulisu to the south had the largest standing army in the world. Even if I recruited
What
every
do we do about
mercenary,
this?
I would still be outnumbered 2-1. So, I drained his treasury and I waited. Eventually, he could no longer afford to maintain his army and
Oh
fell
my God.
like the rest of them. Jackaton lives
That's
by a
genius.
simple proverb. Feed
Sanctions?
the earth and it will feed you. But we fed the earth so much that nature herself is vomiting up red. There's too many prisoners of war and not enough mass graves to go around.
Holy
The rest is
crap.
morbid history as I took the rest
Okay,
of the
that was
map.
weird. That
Jackaton
was
is
dark
now the
as
single
fuck.
state empire of the world. Resources
This
are
game is
limitless.
actually very metal.
Currency is infinite, for we possess an infinite money printer, the design of which is as follows. I form a puppet state, declare war on them, take all their money from a peace treaty, invade them anyway, and install a new puppet to repeat the process. I have, in every sense, completely rigged the system.
And there's no
but
limitation.
Like Sisyphus reaching the top of the mountain,
You rig any kind of micromanaged system ever, man. Every game he plays is like, okay, I found a spell combination that can kill anything in an instant touch. It's like, this dude is insane when it comes to micromanaging.
I had nothing left to
And, like,
struggle against.
resource
and
management
so too
and shit.
Did I lose my interest? So
Let's ask
I made a
for-
royal decree
No.
to arrest everyone. If you're ever interested in ending the game, just click prosecute on your main population. Guards start arresting citizens. Then they arrest other guards before being arrested themselves. Prison wardens get jailed and break out of their own prisons. Chaos and pandemonium rule the day as everyone turns on each other
That's a
and eventually
masquerade.
they turn on me. In summary, Songs of Six has a very expansive, detailed, and enjoyable tutorial. At 160 hours of playtime, I can't wait to play the actual game. This may not take the spot for Game of the Year. As we all know, that's reserved for Churn Vector, but it's a very close second. The
Fuck is a
graphics, the
churn
changing
vector?
of seasons, the music,
Fucking
the scale of
accelerator
the
ass thing.
simulation. Considering this is written in Java, I have no words. There's no other game where the line
This is in
between
Java?
city builder and sociopathy is so blurred. To demonstrate this, for my second playthrough as the
Which
Garfield,
version?
I proposed a novel form of meat production. It's less of a ranch or a pasture, and more of a tilapia nursery. For reference, at a consumption rate of half an apple a day, a fully grown tilapia child costs us 32 apples, but gives us twice that amount in meat and less.
That's oh my god. That's decent for a child. Like that
And
that
once
many
they're adults,
apples for a
we
working
arrest,
kid. That's
execute,
crazy.
and butcher them. The tilapia child to tilapia soup pipeline is highly effective. And while my humans don't agree with cannibalism because they're bigoted chuds that can't grasp the richness of Garfimi culture, they're
I thought he was talking about the kid actually going hunting and getting meat and leather from the fucking animals. What the
their
fuck?
stomachs can't complain. So, what have we learned today? 1. Prisoners are the ultimate cash crop. Labor is a resource, and so are they. 2. Look past people and their differences, and see them instead as a source of protein. 3. Much like real life, retirement is economically unfeasible and exists only as a carrot and stick to motivate
What are you
the
doing?
working class. I give this game my highest recommendation. I give it no days of food out of we're about to starve. And because it's mainly one guy and not a corporate entity, I can just ask for a sale. If you're interested, it's 20% off on GOG and Steam for the rest of April. The first 100 to
Holy
use the link
shit.
with free chemical castration or prefrontal lobotomy. Terms and conditions may apply. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild
No,
generously
not-
funding
not
and
that
bankrolling
much. Oh
these
my
videos.
God.
You're all truly wonderful.
This
Have a
guy.
good one.
Holy shit. Yeah, this game is absurdly detailed in a level that I want to play now. Bro, the fucking bullshit religions you can make in this. Jesus. What does it reminds me of? There was a game like this, literally. Stirless? No. No. Fuck. Kind of. No, not a bit Factorio, but not really. Factorio really doesn't have that much, you know, civilizing. It's more like Satisfactory. You basically create factories everywhere. This is more like, fuck that game. What was that game? It looks so much better though. It looks more like comprehensible. That game had so many cults and religions and stuff that you had to pray, and then you had to like do rituals to what the fuck. Like there's food, there is army, there is like resources, get it, do it. And he just did the tutorial, so holy, that looks sick. Like that map looks sick. This shit is amazing. And each individual is like being processed, right? That's crazy. Bro, that was insane.
What is the
That was insane. Okay. Songs of Things. I'm gonna go try this game. It was like $18. It's probably way cheaper here, so see you all later.